Now the another classification, as we were talking about, it was the transparent, translucent and opaque. Just depending upon that how much light they allow actually to pass through them. So we have a transparent one. So obviously, as the name suggests, obviously the substance is appearing to be transparent. So it is clear that it is allowing the all amount of you can say whole light to pass through it. So when a medium allow all the light rays to pass through it, it is said to be transparent. For example, glass and water, they are actually transparent. But sometimes you know that transparency is actually affected, and how the transparency is affected, it is just affected by the impurities if present around, or like fog is present around, or there are suspended particles, suspended impurities, you can say, that is present around. So they just affect the transparency. Otherwise, by nature, the transparent substance is meant for this purpose, that it will allow the all light rays to pass through it. And because of its properties, so it is being used in making the window panes, it is used in making the spectacles that you wear to correct your sightness. So this is what is a transparent. Coming on to the translucent, so it is transparent, it is not a transparent one, or it is not an opaque one, it lies in mid of it, that is translucent, which allow light to pass through but only partially. That means only few rays are allowed to pass through. So that is why it is having a property of transparency, but not a complete transparency is there. So that is why it appears to be translucent. Like we have wax paper. So it is again used in making the windows and door, where you don't want the, you can say, the clear light, all light rays to pass through. You need a translucent one. So there again it is used for making windows and doors and all. Likewise, we have an opaque one. Opaque is one which do not allow light to pass through it, means it doesn't allow any light ray to come inside. Like we have wood, black paper, they don't allow actually the light to enter. Or you can say like, so if we talk about them, so you know that where they are used in such things where you just want to get rid of light. So whenever these kind of objects are placed in the path of light, they don't allow light to pass, they just cast the shadow of the light. So this is what is a transparent, translucent and the opaque sources. Now like the classification is important, almost over. So just start with the path of light. So we see that the path along which the light travels. If I say that light travels like this, so this is called as ray. So it is the path. What is the ray? Ray is the path along which light travels. And this path is always a straight line path. So straight line path along which light travels is called as ray. And when many rays are clubbed together, so they form a beam. Like if you, and you know that, so many rays together, I'll just write here. So when you have many rays moving together, so they form a beam. So we have three kind of beams actually, depending that how those rays are actually traveling. We have a parallel beam. Parallel beam is that in which you have different rays, they are all traveling in the same direction in such a way that they are almost parallel to each other. So parallel beam is formed by light rays which actually travel in a straight line path, and they are almost parallel to each other. So they form a parallel beam. Likewise, we have a convergent beam also. Convergent beam is that in which, like, this is a source and light is emitted from this source, but after getting emitted, these light rays split in or you can say sorry, I'm talking about the convergent one first. So what happens here, like light is like when the light is emitted, so they emit from like it is emitted from, again I'll just explain it again. See, the convergent and divergent, what they mean. So whenever the light rays just fuse at one point, they are said to be converging. And when they are emitted from here and they just spread in different directions, this is called as divergent. So what is there? These light rays, like when they are emitted, they are just meeting at one point. So when many light rays from different directions, they converge at one point, they meet at one point, they form a convergent beam. Likewise, if the beam, if a source is emitting the light, but the light emitting from it is split in different direction, so it is said to be a divergent beam. So convergent means when the light rays are just meeting at one point, and divergent is that when the light is emitting from, like light rays were together, but after being emitted they just spread in different directions. So this is what is a divergent beam. And if we talk about the propagation of light, we definitely see that light travel in a straight line path. That means it possesses a rectilinear propagation of light. So what do we mean by rectilinear propagation of light? That the path of light is always a straight line. This is said to be a rectilinear propagation of light. So I think it's clear that if we talk about the path of light, light always travels in a straight line path, and that straight line is said to be ray, and when many rays are together it is said to be beam. Beam can be parallel, can be convergent, can be divergent, and likewise if you talk about, if we give a technical term to the how the light propagate, it is said to be rectilinear propagation of light. So this is what is a basic terms which are involved in the you can say the how the light actually pass. And moreover, you know that there can be a point source also. Suppose you have a a complete box, and that is like all black, and you have a small hole in it. So obviously the light will be entering from that hole. So that hole is going to act as a point source for the whole box. So that means depending upon the size, we have the point sources also, we have the finite sources also. So there can be a small opening, a small hole can also be there which act as a point source. So what we'll do, we'll study its application, that is the pinhole camera, which is based on this that I discussed with you. So let's start with that, but in the meanwhile what you do, just complete the the classifications. We did the hot and cold sources, we did the luminous and non-luminous bodies, we did the transparent, translucent and opaque, we did the optical medium, that is homogeneous, heterogeneous. Just finish it off with the classification and just do these terms, and we are just now in a position to study a pinhole camera, right? So we'll take it in another slide, so just try to learn it first.